Welcome, warriors of freedom, to For Based Boys Media, where we stand unapologetically for America and against the forces that threaten our way of life. We're not just a media group, we're a movement. Our mission is clear: to expose political and corporate corruption that seeks to undermine the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness of we the people.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to BasedCast 68. We got a special guest with us. It's his first show on BasedCast, man. Welcome, Aaron. We're glad to have you here, man.
Let's go. Thanks, man. Good to be here.
What should the audience know about this guy?
Am I answering?
Yeah, man. What should we know about Aaron?
He's a longtime friend of mine, and I had to bring him on because he's very knowledgeable on everything that's going on in the world right now, and we got a lot of questions for him. And he's going to tell us what's going on in Israel and Palestine. He's going to break it down piece by piece.
You brought in the experts tonight, so I'm happy to be here. I will guide you guys through every process.
I love it, man. He told me pre-show that he's going to be the devil's advocate. He's going to play the opposition on us today. Yeah, we haven't had that on the show yet.
Not yet, but it is a day.
It is a day. So, well, Aaron, I'm glad to have you on the show, man. We can't wait to take your see your insight and see what you're all about. Let's see if he's truly based enough to be on this awesome show. So, man, what we're talking about today, really, Saturday night is just our show to kind of, it's just kind of a free-for-all. But I only have one news topic on today, so we're going to be talking about a massive whistleblower story coming out of New Zealand. So are you guys? I know you haven't taken the vaccine. Have you taken the vaccine? We're streaming this on YouTube, by the way. So YouTube, please ban me. I really want to stop using you guys. I'm just waiting. The only reason I stream on YouTube is I just want to see if we get banned if we talk about things enough.
We'll see if big tech censorship will be getting us this time. Every single show that we do, we're always going like, is this the one? Is this the time?
They're going to catch you. Oh, they're going to catch you.
Eventually, probably.
Well, I know your show.
But have you taken this crazy
Man, I haven't.
Vaccine
I
jab
avoided
shot?
going back to China for years because I wouldn't do it. So I can argue for it if you want, but I haven't done it personally.
Yeah, man. Like I said, it just didn't make sense to me at all. I've never trusted Big Pharma. You say you're a supplement guy yourself.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to plug anything that you do. We love, supporting people on the show. But
awesome.
As being a supplement guy, you probably understand how corrupt Big Pharma is, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. So that's what we're here to expose today. So we're gonna get into it, and then we're gonna have a free for all, and we're gonna have a great time tonight. So let's get into the show today. Well, we're here. It's Saturday, and we are ready to go today. Man, so I want to know why. Give me both your guys' synopsis on why you guys didn't take the vaccine, because we're going to get into this whistleblower story here in just a second, but I want to know personally from both you guys.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the audience already knows that I'm from California. It was heavily pushed. I was first, at my job, I was first they tried to persuade me. They offered me an extra $100, then they offered me $200, then they offered me $300 extra for my. I know, an extra $300. Oh, nice.
I would have gone for the free donuts.
So the free donuts, that free burgers as well. I'm down. And so things kept on getting worse and worse and worse. So 2020 happened, and then when 2021 during the summer, they lifted all the mask mandates, and then they brought them down. New job. They continuously were trying to push it for me, and I was about to get fired because they're like, if you're not getting the vaccination, gone. Like, we have the right to terminate you because you don't have the vaccination. Luckily, there was a court case that overruled it, saying I have the constitutional right to not actually be forced to take it underneath the penalty of being fired. So I held out. Part of the reason why I didn't do it is because I don't trust Big Pharma. As you were saying earlier, I don't trust that I don't trust that Operation Warp Speed was perfect. I don't trust that Pfizer, the biggest criminal organization in American history, is all on the up and up. And I'm not going to be forced against my will to take anything that I don't want to. So there was no possibility for me taking the vaccination because I am not going to be suckling the teat of the government. I'm not going to be bending the knee to corporate tyranny, and I'm not going to be told what to do. I'm raised on punk rock and Alex Jones. How can I do what I'm told?
Amen, brother.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. Nobody trusts Big Pharma. It's literally everything is funded by Big Pharma. We talk about it all the time how media is literally funded by Big Pharma. They take so many dollars. You turn on any MSNBC, CNN, and all it is brought to you by Pfizer, brought to you by Pfizer, Moderna. But yeah, I don't blame you. And luckily for me, I stayed away from the corporate structure. I didn't really work for anybody that was, hey, you have to take this. I hate corporations. I mean, there's trade-offs with it. I think they do certainly good things in certain departments, but for the most part, they don't really care about American liberties and American rights for the most part, especially when it comes to the vaccine and medicine. It's top-down medicine. So, what, Aaron? How about yourself, man? What made you inclined to not take it?
Similar to you, I didn't have a job that was going to force me to do it, so I kind of slowed everything down, and I was like, I'm going to see how this works for some other people. I had some family members that took it, some friends that took it, and they were okay. And for me, the big draw was travel because everything shut down. I actually had a trip planned to go to Canada backpacking in, I don't know when it was, but it was like right when everything shut down. And I was so close to taking it, man, because I was like, they didn't drop over dead, why not? But it was just that thing where I'm like, this is an irreversible choice. I'm not sure if it's bad, I'm not sure if it's good, but whatever I do, it's going to be stuck in me forever, and I'm going to have to live with that. So if I can put off traveling for in my mind, it was going to be a few months or a few weeks, I'm going to do that, and obviously, I grew up in a kind of holistic health household, and we tried to avoid vaccines. I was vaccinated to go to college. I had to get some of the basics, but when you can avoid putting, manufactured stuff in your body, that's the best, and just boost your immune system. So
I love what you say, man. Taking a holistic approach, and that's clearly what our medical community doesn't do. It doesn't take a holistic approach. It's pushing petroleum-pressed pills, and it's really just for profit. They don't cure they just treat the symptoms. They don't actually go and try to cure whatever chronic illness you have. And I'm sure you feel this as a supplement guy and being in the industry. It's like our food is awful. Like it literally has no nutrients in it, and it's all part of the big corporate structure to make more money. They don't care about health at all.
Even our healthy food these days, our vegetables are deficient. Like a bowl this big of spinach in the 60s has the nutritional equivalent of like a massive tub of spinach today because we've overfarmed and there's no minerals in our soil anymore. And so, even if you're trying to eat healthy, you're going to be at a deficit, and you got to learn ways to kind of boost yourself and take supplements, et cetera. And the standard American diet and these drugs and these vaccines are not going to help you with that.
That's so true. We've watched Big Pharma. I'm not sure if it's their goal to strip the food out of strip the nutrients out of every single bit of food so that they can then come in and rescue. But if you're looking from a 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 viewpoint, it almost looks like a nefarious plot from Big Pharma to push Mountain Dew on the people.
I mean, absolutely.
We bring this up all the time. Why is there so much deep fried butter pushed on Americans? Like we see the massive amount of heart failure going on in America, but good thing they got the pill for that. Good thing
who's the blame? Is it the institutions that push this and the advertising that gets pushed to all this garbage, or is it the people? Because I always talk about it: sell or be sold. You either sell something in this world, or you're getting sold something. So like, should people awaken to this? Or who's to blame? I want your take on this, guys.
Well, classically, like any business, you're going to want to retain customers. And, so you're going to create strategies and processes to keep your customer and get them in your value ladder system and make them a lifelong client if possible. And the pharmaceutical companies have the best opportunity to do this because they have so much pull and so much power. And there's so much other data that's being brought out. Insurance actuaries actually as well. I know somebody that works in an insurance company. I'll leave it unnamed for the show, but they're telling me they're seeing a massive incline of death benefits as well in certain countries as well. So it's pretty alarming that all this information and data is getting swept under the rug. Specifically with this, the media in New Zealand was saying, what they were saying is, oh, don't trust this guy. We've got the information that you need to know. Of course. So
what do you guys make of this? Everything is just going to get swept under the rug like it always does, or do you think the people will start to see this? I mean, we talk about it all the time. People are distracted by entertainment. You probably see this, Aaron. Mm-hmm. People don't really focus on and I don't blame them, because it's hard to focus on serious issues. This guy actually cries in the video because of the revelation that he finds. I mean, people are dying from Big Pharma. This is nothing new. People have been dying from Big Pharma for a long time. But what do you guys make of it?
Though. So one of the things I find really interesting, and in the video we just watched, it talks about how the media is poo-pooing the information that's coming out. And here's just a little quick thing I was able to pull up. Out of the top 10 drug manufacturers, 7 of them spend more on marketing and advertisements than they do on research and development.
Oh, I believe it. It's 90%, right? 90% of television advertising is
yes.
Pharmaceutical.
Yes, yeah. And if any of you guys watch the debate between any of the debates, all it is like Ozempic and all the different drug companies just advertising on Fox News and then CNN and MSNBC. That's their only advertiser they have left. So of course we're not going to see the media or any of the advertising agencies or any of the printed media say anything bad about their top funder. They would be killing their funding. Who would pay for TV ads if it wasn't for Big Pharma pushing their pills?
That's why we got to get back to viewer funded media, and that's one of our goals and missions here, is to be funded by the viewers itself. Our institutions, our media, it's not funded by the people that actually want to watch it. You don't have any choice in what they talked about. Our viewers don't have a choice about what we talk about. We get to talk about what we want, but if you don't like it, stop funding us. And that's how it needs to be. You have to have skin in the game, and that's what we really believe. But let me play the clip from the Prime Minister just to see how much they hate alternative media, and they're trying to crush freedom of speech. Thank God we have a constitution in this country that's holding on by a razor thread at the moment. So let's play this real quick.
You can trust us as a source of that information. You can also trust the Director General of Health and the Ministry of Health. For that information, do feel free to visit at any time to clarify any rumour you may hear, covid19.govt.nz. Otherwise, dismiss anything else. We will continue to be your single source of truth. We will provide information frequently. We will share everything we can, everything else you see, a grain of salt. And so I really ask people to focus on
that. The most egregious example of that appears to be this text which originated in Malaysia and has become a viral hoax in Australia and in New Zealand. How irresponsible is it the people that are sharing that news of a lockdown imminent in New Zealand?
Yeah, and look, that's the kind of thing that adds to the anxiety that people feel. So I continue to share the message. New Zealanders must prepare, but do not panic. Prepare. And when you see those messages, remember that unless you hear it from us, it is not the truth. And I really ask people.
So there you go. Unless you don't hear it from us, it's not the truth.
She looks a little bit like Fauci in that video too.
Yeah, dude. So this
a lot of teeth in that mouth. That's the first thing I was looking at. I was looking at her and going like, "Whoa,
yes.
That's a lot of teeth."
So that's the Prime Minister. She has resigned, actually, conveniently enough. If you're responsible for all this, how could you sleep at night? Because they are they puppets or do they know what's going on? I think a lot of it's just puppetry at play. But yeah, essentially, she's clowning herself right now because people need to hear this information.
It reminds me a lot of the Fauci statements that we would see almost every day, and he would constantly say, "This is science. This is the truth. This is you have to believe me. I know everything." And then, thankfully now, and back to your previous question, will the public wake up to it? That's a scary question, but it seems like at least more and more people are starting to call BS on this stuff, and you can't not. I mean, if you have any grain of intelligence, you're going to start seeing that. When they say the vaccine's going to cure COVID and it doesn't, and then they say it's going to have a 90% effective rate and it doesn't, and then they say this, and now you need boosters, and now we're still needing boosters. Where does it end? And I think people are going to continue to kind of get tired of the stupid rhetoric.
What's crazy to me, though, is just in New Zealand alone, these people that taken the Pfizer jab, he's talking about 20%. So during World War II, there was a 7 to 8% death increase. I mean, we're talking a world war where people are being bombed and killed. This is we're in literally a biomedical war, essentially, if the vaccine companies are just willfully doing that. And there's no liability. Mm-hmm. Like, they literally have the Liability Protection Act, so nobody can sue them if anything happens. We have the VAERS reporting system that gets swept under the rug. So all the information and the data, like, we could bring forth it all day, but it literally always just gets swept under the rug. And we have no power with it.
I'm curious, do you guys know anybody personally that's been adversely affected by a vaccine?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I know.
Enlighten us.
Yeah. So one of my best friends, he, as you are, a world traveler, he had to get the vaccination in order to travel, and he is currently suffering from, can you guess it? Myocarditis.
Yep.
He's now suffering from that, having different heart palpitations, heart skipping a beat, and he's like, it was probably one of the worst decisions of my life. Mm-hmm. 35 years old, very fit, and now he's having heart problems that shouldn't be happening to him. Yep. I also know a couple other people. So, for example, a couple members of my family. Remember, I'm from California. I know a lot of people who got vaccinated, who got affected. A couple members of my family, they actually got like, after they got the vaccination, they got a couple different skin conditions where they were having adverse reactions with their skin. I think it was they got diagnosed with rosacea after, where their skin is peeling. It's very similar to very similar to eczema, but instead of your skin peeling, it turns red, and it's horrible to have. And so I actually have a couple members of my family. I know a lot of people who got vaccine injured because I know a lot of people got vaccinated. Yep. And to me, a lot of times I think to myself, we'll go back to that question, is it the individual's fault for falling for the propaganda, or is it the arm of the government and the propaganda arm of big pharma who should be blamed?
Well, the question is, are you an individualist or a collectivist? I mean, I feel like the collectivist would be more on the side of withholding the institution responsible, but I'm more of an individualist and having good discernment in life. I mean, it's the survival of the fittest, baby. And that's just how the world works. You got to get your head out of the sand and wake up, and we're just distracted. And I'm not to say, like, leave our brothers and sisters behind to die in this, but, I mean, you can only do so much at the end of the day.
I'm going to slide in there in the middle because, exactly, and you have to be held accountable for your own personal decisions. And then at the same time, you hope to be able to have some trust in your government and your healthcare system. And so definitely I think everybody should be accountable for themselves and be smart. And then also these people should be held accountable because they were literally lying to us. And we just saw, don't listen to anybody but us. It's all fake news unless you hear it from us. And yet the statements they're making are possibly causing a lot of problems.
The best part is Congress isn't doing a damn thing about any of this. And if anything, any sort of House resolution is being brought forward, nothing is really being done. Because what the American government is supposed to be doing, what Congress is supposed to be doing is protecting the rights of American people. We're so caught up in giving public commodities and giving social welfare and creating social safety nets and doing all of this, but we don't go after the corruption. And then if we do, we're just smeared by the media and we have no chance. When it comes to January 6th or, election meddling and election fraud, like there's so many cases of it where anytime we try to bring forth our case of what's going on, it just gets crushed by the technocracy that we face.
Oh, we see that all the time. It's a non-stop tyranny cycle, because what happens is the government is protecting itself, and that's one of my biggest problems I have with the government. Is it is a never-ending cycle of lobbyists and people making money off selling out the American people. We've seen that time and time again. Currently, our politicians. Oh, who's our president? The guy who took millions and billions of dollars from. Because, Hunter Biden took $1.5 billion from China to invest, $5 million from Ukraine, I think $3 million from Russia, the mayor of Moscow's wife. Our politicians are using the American people and then enslaving us in debt through the Federal Reserve. The American system currently is not operating for American citizens. It's operating for the global elite. It's operating for big pharma. It's operating for everyone except for us. And that is one of the biggest problems that we see that we have to actually rectify. And I think that there's only a few solutions that we can actually come up with to not see ourselves enslaved.
What did they do to tyrants in their sleep on Christmas in 1776?
Slit their throats.
I'm not saying we do that.
Neither am I. We do not advocate for violence.
But, we have this joke all the time here, and it's Republicans in 2023, 2022 are the pro-America people that don't want globalism. They just go out and vote harder, and they think their election, their vote counts. And then our founding fathers, they were men of action. They had balls,
Exactly.
And it's just times have changed. We've just become so weak, and I don't really see a solution or an outcome to this other than having us end up like the Roman Empire. I mean, I think every good empire has to fall. And we're becoming too empirical towards the globalist elite class. And I don't see it as liberal and conservative anymore. The Overton window has kind of shifted more towards it's globalism or you're pro-America at this point. And, you say you're a nationalist or you say you're conservative now. The media smears you. I mean, have you experienced and seen this at all, Aaron? Or anybody, even you too, Micah?
I've definitely seen it all over the place. Thankfully, I try to avoid the limelight, so I've never been smeared myself, except for in family situations. And when you even with friends and family, when you have an opinion that maybe doesn't float their boat, man, you sure hear about it. And it's getting increasingly more and more tough to just have a Thanksgiving together or whatever it is without these things coming up, and we're farther and farther divided every day.
Yeah, it makes those Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners really awkward.
It does.
You don't get along.
It does, and we've seen it happen over and over again. I personally think that the whole reason for the divide between Americans, like racism wasn't a thing until 2016. Also at the same time, I'm serious. Like why do they keep on trying to put identity politics? Why do they keep on trying to put vaxxers versus anti-vaxxers against each other? Why do they put everyone against each other? It's because if we are united, they can't stand.
Exactly.
And so that's one of the reasons why the pacification of the man keeps on happening. That's why we see, number 2, transparency. We need to have complete transparency what's going on in our government. Why does Fauci make more than the president? That's a weird question right there. Why did he make more? At the same time, where did all the money go for Operation Warp Speed? Why was billions just lost in this black box of giving money to Pfizer? Omnibus spending bill, anyone? How many trillions did we spend on that? And why were we giving money to gender studies in Pakistan? Why was Sam Bankman-Fried sending money to Ukraine and then it all getting shipped back for the 2022 election? At the same time, we have all this lack of transparency where people don't get to know where our tax is going. And I would say number 3, get rid of taxes. I'm going to throw that one in there.
That.
What do you
think?
think?
For success.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think that there is, what do you think the steps to retaking America,
I think you
liberty?
laid it out perfectly. Those steps sound like a killer plan. The next question is, how do we implement that? Because how do we take back the power to get the vote back? At this point, it seems like we're the silent majority, and we all want this thing. Even left and right, we disagree on many things, but of course we want to know that our vote counts. And I feel like most of us at this point are starting to question that. Something that you might know about is the blockchain voting in Taiwan. And I don't know enough about it, but it's a super interesting idea. And the whole community votes on everything from city issues to government issues on the blockchain, and it's all public and it's all verifiable. And so it's an easy electronic way. You're not having to go, write on a piece of paper, but it's also completely secure.
But the culture in Taiwan is quite different. Mikey, you know somebody in Taiwan?
Yeah, I've used to live in Taiwan for a bit.
So it's probably a homogenous culture with very, very it's a homogenous culture. Like it's not a melting pot.
It is very much so. It's 98% Han Chinese.
So I think those things work in those type of small scale countries because what do we see? We see Bernie Sanders. He goes off and talks about Nordic socialism. People should be lining up for bread. It'll be a good thing. Like they use these models in other countries like for socialism, and it works there in small homogenous populations with white people that do the same thing. I don't know if it would work in America because we're so diverse, we're so free, we've got the capability to do whatever we want, within within law and order, of course. So I don't really know if having a blockchain vote like that would work here because dude, look, I may be demeaning the average American at this point, but do you really think the average voter is in tune with civics here in this country? Like I said a moment ago, and we talk about all the time how just distracted people are.
Yeah, and so one of the things that's interesting going on in Taiwan right now, they're about to go into their next election, and there's basically three parties that are running for them right now. There's two parties who are in favor of adopting communism and rejoining with China, and then the Green Party, they're the one who wants to actually have freedom and be their own country. And so I think it's really interesting that they are securing their elections through blockchain and through that different ways. I hope that it's a way for them to save themselves from fraudulent votes. But I do think you're right there. We touched on this a couple shows ago where we were talking about how diversity is their strength. Why does Amazon want to have half their people not speak English and also the other half not care enough to try to work together? So people can't work together, unionize, and then create a way to do better. It's the same thing in a country. If there's an influx of migrants coming across the border who can't speak English and who are giving IDs in California, how are they supposed to vote in better policies when they can't speak English? How am I supposed to beat someone who's voting on behalf of me, who wants more of my taxes to go to their social welfare programs? That is something that's a huge problem, and we keep on seeing that where we are not a homogenous society. And let's take it out of the realm of just speaking the language. I don't have the same culture as a leftist. I don't have the same culture as a liberal. I don't have the same culture as most of the people that I can go down the list of. My culture is pro-America, pro-patriotism, pro-freedom. Who else in the world has that besides us? Like patriotic Americans who believe in the First Amendment, Second Amendment, and definitely not the 19th Amendment. Like how are we supposed to work together and get a better union if people can't agree on freedom and liberty?
So I have a great proposal for this. You can only make decisions for this country if you can bench 225 or more.
Easy.
Strong men. We need strong men to lead us. We don't need no weak beta boys. We're based. That's what we do.
Exactly. So what do you think about the 225 bench vote rule?
Oh, man, I actually just hit a new record today, and I was proud of it until you said that. So I'm currently unqualified to vote in this country, but I do think that's a good idea.
Okay, we'll lower it to 185?
Absolutely. Let's do
Okay,
it.
cool.
Do it.
Okay, I gladly, or unfortunately, I can't say that I can bench 225 anymore. I used to be able to. Probably what a year ago. I could probably get it back up again if I consistently went back to the gym, but
hit it.
Life is stressful with family and so much else going on. But I digress. It's there's got to be something to do, and I think it really becoming too much of a melting pot is what we're becoming. We're becoming too, we're becoming too far. What does Christ say? House divided
Cannot stand.
And that's to the point. That's where we're getting. I mean, we all believe different things, and it's just it's an information war that we're fighting. So I just encourage people to have good discernment and focus on things that matter, and that's how we're going to move a country forward, and focus on being nationalists. And not white nationalists, but just nationalists.
I know they throw
a fine line.
They throw that term around quite a bit. So if you love America, they call you racist. If you're a nationalist, they call you a white nationalist. And you're like, but I love my country and I want it to do well. And so what they have to do is they have to put terms around it. So like, for example, you can't just be a nationalist, you have to be a racist. Oh, if you love America, you're probably part of the KKK. And you're like, no, that has nothing to do with that. I just want America to I want America to be prosper. And so that's one of the horrible things that the left does, or even the globalists, or the people who are trying to divide us, is they throw terms on us like racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic that aren't true, because what we actually are is that is actually pro-America. And so to bastardize our ideas, they have to make it so unappealing for the masses and say like, hey, if you love America and you love Christianity and you love all of our customs and the culture of America, you're racist, homophobic, and xenophobic. So don't love America. Instead, allow yourself to just follow whatever way that we're pushing you.
And I would say that, yeah, back to what you were saying, it's absolutely right now so important to educate ourselves and encourage our family and everybody else to educate themselves, because whether or not we can just implement this plan that's going to fix our country right away, start learning civics, like always invest in yourself. For me in business, the most powerful thing I've ever done is start investing in myself and taking, even after I thought I knew things, new training courses. It's like, oh wow, that unlocked a little bit of something in me. And so, learning civics, reading the Constitution, imagine that, learning these things that are the foundation of our society, and latching on to your own political identity, and then in love, sharing that with those around you.
Well, guys, I feel like we are in 2020 again, or 2019 again. Reminiscence of 2019 is coming back. Now, I'm not going to fearmonger people or do anything like that, but we have another respiratory illness is coming out of China this time of year. Remember 3 years ago at this time, 2019? 4 years ago. Holy crap, 4 years. I cannot believe that time has flown by that quick. 4 years ago at this time, that's when we were first getting the word of people dropping dead. Now, I don't have the photos prepared for us today, but I have photos on my phone of The Guardian, and they're showing photos of people in hazmat suits, like Chinese men in hazmat suits, surrounding people that are just drop dead on the floor. And this was the official narrative from COVID in December, early January, of people just dropping dead. Now, do you guys remember, are those the symptoms of COVID, just dropping dead in the middle of the street?
Never saw it. Now, I was in China right there
Same.
when COVID was kicking off, and boy, was I scared. I was like, when is it going to happen to me? And actually, my face broke out in a crazy rash. It wasn't COVID, but there was a minute where I was like, what's happening? And so, yeah, everybody seeing those videos, you get fear, and that's how they control us, obviously, is by fear. But absolutely not. That turned out to not be the case.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, I was involved in some alternative media that was going against it. Because, I mean, yeah, you follow the main institutions. It just puts so much fear into people. And, I mean, what was the official narrative? It came from penguins. It came from bats. It was some dude ate bat soup, conveniently located next to the Wuhan virology lab that Anthony Fauci and Peter Daszak funded through the EcoHealth Alliance, millions of dollars. And we don't know at this point whether it was leaked intentionally or accidentally. But we do know that our government capitalized on it, and it's caused so much economic ramifications and transfer of wealth. But my question to you guys is, do you really think that this would happen again? Do you really think, because me personally, I believe majority of Americans, unless you guys see this differently, do you think it's the majority or the minority of Americans were opposed to this? I think over time it's slowly become, people are just they're not falling for it. But in the very beginning with the mass propaganda, I think a majority of people were actually afraid. I mean, I know like you said a moment ago, you were a little bit like, I know I was like, oh, what's going on? But then you look into it a little bit and you're like, it's all propaganda. So do you think that this could happen again? I think they could try to lock us down if they tried to have another, if you want to be the tip of the spear to fight corruption, you have to be willing to litigate, your opponents, because that's literally what we see. So I could see it totally being a viable case that this happens again because of the control and because of the money control on all of the entities in the media.
I'm 100% with you on that. And what you say about the big cities is so true. One of the biggest problems that we have is the big cities don't regulate their votes. So what happened in Arizona? All of Arizona was red except for Maricopa County. In Maricopa County, they had universal mail-in votes.
And how long did it take to count those ballots?
Weeks. It took so long. I think it was like 10 days to finally count the votes. And the same thing, even my lovely state of California, most of California is red except for 3 spots: LA, San Diego, and San Francisco. Those are the 3 points. All the rest of California is red. The same thing with Pennsylvania. Most of it's red except for the city. And within the city, they can use different things like this. They're going to be trying to pull different ploys in order to steal the election. And I think us as Americans need to not let this happen again. Fool me once. You guys know the saying. Fool me once, shame on me. You. Fool me once. Just do it. Exactly. I'm like George W. Bush over here, Fool me 3 times. But I digress, and back to, I want to see Americans be smart enough not to fall for this again and demand that we have better votes.
Hey, Kitty.
I want to see Americans not fall for this again. And so for you, Aaron, do you think America is actually ready to fight back and say, no, not again? You can't lock us down again. You can't put us in our homes again. You can't take away our freedoms for a fake, I don't know if it's fake, but you can't put us in our homes for a cold.
Unfortunately, honestly, no, I don't think so. I think that because of the division, it's going to cause just enough pushback, and it's going to be the same thing. Now, the bigger question that I have is, what does that 50 or even if it's 60 or 70% of people that believe that this is a hoax, or it's not what they're chalking it up to be, what do we do, and what does that look like now? Is this more protests, or is this escalating things, or is it just, at what point do we have other options other than just doing what they tell us to do? If the airports are closed again, if we need vaccine travel certificates again, if all this is implemented again, how do we fight back?
We got close to passports. We got really close.
Oh, yeah.
I know even in my state, they were implementing, you need to show your vaccination card in order to go to bars, restaurants, and anywhere else. And so for me, I had a whole summer off from going out in public because I didn't have a vaccination card.
Yep.
And
relaxing.
So that's one of my biggest concerns is they're trying to pull the same thing again. I hope that we don't fall for it again.
And then what if it's not? So then that's another thing, because what if this is actually serious? Now we've got a solid 50% of people, us included in this room, who are going to be like, no, let's not listen to that. Let's not listen to their advice. And what if it's right this time? I'm not saying it is. I'm saying that's going to be a possibility. Worldwide global viruses are going to happen. And then what then?
But what set a massive precedent for not wanting to go out and protest? January 6th.
Yeah.
We see this. We see, God, what's his name?
Enrique Ontario?
No. The Republican congressman that just testified. Is it not Andy Biggs? Anyways, congressman testified showing that there was 150 feds at January 6th infested in the crowd. The point is January 6th set a precedent for people that people should be afraid to protest. Because we see a double standard. People can go out and protest for the racial injustice during COVID, burn the White House on 5/29, nothing happens. But then when we step on the wrong blade of grass, or we're in the wrong location, there's people that weren't even there that are getting 20 years. And there's people there exercising their First Amendment right that are in prison right now. There's grandmothers being pushed by police. And, the mainstream narrative is just completely, off of what actually happened, and I mean that makes people afraid to protest because, you know, are you willing to be imprisoned? Are you willing to pay the price for freedom? Because, you know, freedom is not free, as our founding fathers found out. You know, to escape the British monarchy, we had to get a little violent. And I'm not saying we get violent because we live in the information age. I think it's just more of enlightening and awakening people. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but people are afraid to go out and protest because they don't want to lose their money, their life, and their security. And that's where the government gets us. And that's what the tyranny is. It's a peaceful security. They don't even have to be violent. They don't got to put us in gas chambers, like if that actually happened. No, I'm just kidding. But I love digressing on stupid talking points. But anyways, like, is that, like, I don't know. I don't know, man. It's hard to wrap my mind around.
I'm going to piggyback off what Aaron said. Hypothetically, hand me my tinfoil hat, you know? Hypothetically, it's real. Well, let's say the white lung is completely real. I personally believe that the virus came from the biolab. What if it was a bioweapon in which they released on the American people and released on the world, really? And it was so mild, and so then they already primed us to stay at home. They already primed us to not go out. What if they released something different? Well, hypothetically, in my tinfoil hat daydream, what if they release something onto the world that actually is deadly so that there is people dropping in the streets? That is going to be an interesting thing because they have the possibility of releasing things that are actually super deadly. Oh, yeah. We know that bioweapons have been banned, but every single country has them. What if they did release something that actually kills people and makes people want to stay at home? But right now we're primed to fight back and say, no, we're going out, and it is something deadly. I think that the deep state, the globalists, they're willing to pull out anything that they possibly can in order to steal the election again. Because I think a lot of people in America know that if Donald Trump or if conservatives, and I'm not talking about the rhinos, get back in charge, there will be hell to pay. Let's say that, hypothetically, Donald Trump, he gets back in office. Day one, what is he doing? He's probably going after the deep state. He's a sitting president who doesn't have to worry about re-election. They worry about that because does he abolish the FBI? Does he go after all the mass migration that's came in? He already said that he's removing everyone who's 14 age and above from America. What would happen if that happens again? They already have a couple things in with stolen elections. They already have their media machine. They already have so many different parts of America completely controlled. So why wouldn't they go to extreme lengths to ensure their win again? You know,
at some point, like you're saying, there's going to be a nail in the coffin. And I forgot to bring it up, but I'm sure you guys know about the Russian operative that, I think it was in the 80s, that he said they had this great plan to destabilize the U.S. And it's just like we're step by step following that plan. And it has to do with gender identity, and it has to do with education and all of these things, and the family unit. And it's like we're at the perfect point for that final nail in the coffin. So what will that be? Who's to say? But then, yeah, I got no answers as to what we do with that and what's the answer or how to avoid it.
I think that is a really interesting question. Because I know the video you're talking about. I don't remember the Russian guy's name, but he talks about making sure that you have a 30-year plan to destabilize America. First, introduce disunity. Go after the school systems. We've already seen that college is captured. I learned about Native American studies and socialism in college. I went for business. I didn't learn anything about business. I learned about socialism and equity and inclusion and diversity. I learned about that. I didn't learn about anything that's actually interesting. I didn't learn how to do business there. College is captured. What else do you talk about? Go after America's infrastructure. We see massive decay because we live in a part of America that has been one of the biggest recipients of not even recipients, one of the biggest decaying parts of America. The opioid epidemic has hit our state harder than most any other place. Maybe the Rust Belt was hit a little harder, but our state has been crushed with fentanyl. We see so much rot going on where we are, and so everyone has to move to the big city. Everyone has to move to eats the bugs and lives in the pod. We see so many different ways in which his predictions or even his prophecy was completely true about how to take down America, destroy our infrastructure, destroy our culture, destroy our monuments. And we saw that during 2020. All of our monuments got torn down. All of our cultural icons got taken down. Me Too happened, and we saw all of our people get taken down for, some got taken down for great reasons. I'm happy that what was his name, Weinstein, got taken down, but we also saw so many other people get accused of a bad date and get taken down, and now people live in fear of the gulag, so to speak. They're afraid of being turned in by a bad date. And there's so many different ways in which people live in fear in America now that we didn't live 30 years ago.
And I think the biggest attack on American society is the nuclear family you mentioned a moment ago. I mean, the fatherlessness problem, not just black people, it's white people, it's everywhere. Like, fatherlessness is huge. I mean, it's obviously disproportionate on other ends, but you have to have a strong family structure. You need a mother, you need a father, and I think that's so many people rely on the secular institutions for their answers and how to do things in life when so much success is relied on the family. For example, agriculture. I think agriculture success, the number one way for agriculture success is not through mass corporations. It's not through pushing of mass profits like they do. It's through the family. Like, you ask a modern kid today where food comes from, what do you think they'll say? They'll say the grocery store, right? Yeah. They won't say farm. They don't know how to do any of that. And like, I'm all for living in an advanced society where we don't have to be laborious slaves to endless hours of work. I mean, it work smarter, not harder. But at the end of the day, we don't own anything. Like, we don't know how to produce our own food. Everything is produced outside of the United States practically. I mean, everything in this room is made in China, and you have no other choice. I mean, you say what you do for business, you have to purchase stuff from China. You have no choice, but you have to make money, and you got to do it. You got to do what you got to do to make your ends meet. But bringing back power to like a nuclear family, I think is going to be one of the first steps to our success, and make the family great again.
Absolutely, and it's the Overton window again, and these little steps seem like we're just modernizing, and now we get everything from the grocery store so easy, and there's organic there, and it's great, and oh yeah, I can source from China so easy on the internet, and all these things like day by day seem like a natural modernization of life. But then when you go back and you hear what this guy says in the 80s, and it's just spot on where we're at today. And he says, this is our plan for destabilization. This is how we will take the greatest superpower in the world down to its knees. And you're like, you look around and that's what we're looking at. And it feels like normal day life, but it's not. It's destabilized. And exactly what you're saying, nobody knows what's real anymore. And I mean, man, it's about to get a lot worse with AI and virtual reality and everything.
Dude, don't even get me started. So the line of work I'm in, we heavily, people promote us to use AI quite a bit because it makes your job quite a bit easier. I've used ChatGPT a little bit. I've used Leonardo for photos and stuff like that, and it's all great and fine and dandy. But does it raise human consciousness? Does like, AI is a really touchy subject because I think within the next probably 10 to 20 years, it's massively going to impact our lives. Like, it's going to change our lives even further than like what computers did. Everything's going to be automation. I mean, from music to media to everyday things. I mean, I can write an entire movie script with ChatGPT. Like, absolutely zero human consciousness, zero human creativity in that. Just you get whatever you want out of it. And they have it with movies now too. It's I mean, you're going to see movies being produced. Pop music and rap music is being produced by AI. I mean, even the top producers in like, music are using AI for certain things, and it's crazy. I think it has its applications, but it's really going to. Do you guys think it's going to raise human consciousness at all, or is it going to become self-aware? Are we going to be like Terminator Judgment Day, or what do y'all think?
I absolutely love it. Like, for what I do, I work online, and it's a game changer. It's amazing. Exactly. It makes my life so easy, and everybody feels that way. But I have just a little inkling that I started thinking about, and it's far out. Give me the tinfoil hat.
Okay, tinfoil hat goes back to you.
Tinfoil's hat on. Okay.
We actually used to have one in here. I don't know where it went. I think Sean stole it.
All right, imaginary tinfoil hat is on now. It is a far out idea, but the Bible talks about, bear with me, the Antichrist, and how it's going to be an angel of light. It's going to be who we go to for answers, and it's going to be a God. And I've always grown up and thinking about, like, how can that happen? Like, how is somebody going to really convince the world that it's God or it's Jesus come in new body? And I'm like, now that I'm thinking about AI and where it's most definitely going, there is going to be a point probably in the next 20 years, max 50 years, where the world is run by one or multiple or whatever AIs. And AI will, it's unarguable, have the power to make better decisions than humans because it knows everything all at the same time. And why would we not now, maybe not worship it as a god, but give it the power of a god, give it the power of a world leader? Just my 2 cents.
The problem that I have with AI, I actually don't think that AI can take us over in a lot of ways. I'm actually on the side of AI isn't actually as big of a threat as most people think. And part of my reasoning is AI is programmed by a person. So, like, for example, if we typed in a chat GPT, why is Donald Trump the coolest? We do not have that ability to talk about political discussions. Okay. Go down the list. There's so many different things that it refuses to talk about because it is programmed by people. Randomness isn't something that happens on anything that's programmed. When you tell something that's random, I actually don't think that it actually is. I see where you guys are coming from, but at the same time, I personally think that AI is just a stock market bubble in the same way that crypto was in 2021 and that EVs were in 2020. I don't necessarily think that AI is going to be a big problem, partially because I don't think that our capabilities are there. So, like, for example, with ChatGPT, it's a language model that just basically surfs the internet and talks to people. At the same time, so many companies are investing. OpenAI, we saw them get rid of their CEO, but then brought him back because they lost so much money in that. My thought on AI, because I see where you guys are coming, but I'm going to give you guys a little bit of pushback on it. People control the AI. I don't think there will be... People always talk about the singularity when the AI becomes sentient, but how close are we to that? How close are we to ChatGPT taking us over and running the world? I think there's going to be a huge application for it. I think it will get rid of accounting jobs, but I don't see... And I'd love to hear you guys' pushback on this one. I don't see ChatGPT and AI taking over us and being our ruler, so to speak, anytime soon. Like, I'm going to give it like 40 years before our capabilities are there for them to actually start having AI make decisions for us.
I think you're just trying to protect your AI girlfriend.
Hey, replica AI is a real good thing if you're lonely. Shout out to AI girlfriends.
No, even better, your AI VR headset. You get to see her in the headset and everything.
Sign me up.
Dude, and you get 1,000 ejaculations a day. Like, it's going to be great.
Exactly. That's part of the thing of why I live in my pod nonstop. And the bugs, they got a lot of magnesium.
They're delicious.
They got lots of protein.
Lots of protein that I expend with my AI girlfriend.
So AI is kind of narrow at this point, is what they call it. It's like narrow AI. It's not very, very advanced. And I don't know much about it, but I remember watching it was a TED Talk about 10 years ago with Sam Harris. I don't know if I don't really follow him recently. He's kind of more of a lefty global.
He talks about how much he hates Trump now. So he's done a lot of good things, but now he's a little bit of a...
Yeah, he's gone too far. But he explained it to this way in the TED Talk. Essentially, when humans build a house, we don't try to kill the human, or we don't try to kill the ants and all the little insects and little bugs. We inadvertently do it. I mean, when we dig into the soil, we inadvertently kill all the little things and the little organisms. And he explained it the same way. That's exactly what AI has the potential to do, is basically inadvertently take over humans. Maybe not in a lethal force, but it's diminishing human consciousness and human potential of doing the things that we're able to do.
Absolutely.
So have you guys ever seen in like India, they have they have these like roads where there's like no traffic lights, there's no lanes or anything, and it's just a bunch of cars like weaving in and out.
Yeah.
Like weaving in.
yeah.
So like that's a prime example of human potential. Like, and maybe a weird thing to make an analogy on, but it's like, if we're able to like weave through all of that, like do we need traffic lights? Do we need all of that? Like, human potential is amazing and can do a lot of great things, and I think a lot of technology has diminished that. I mean, ask anybody to navigate a map now. It's all done by digital intelligence essentially.
Well, your comment on India, I don't think India has women drivers, so I think that's kind of could be a pushback.
You say we're moving to India?
Well, a lot safer there when driving on the roads.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about Snapchat and all that type of stuff while they're driving. Who needs a duck face and get rear-ended?
There's no roads between the bedroom and the kitchen. Sorry, going too far. Good thing women don't watch this show. Anyways, I don't really know what AI is going to do. I don't really know, but wrap this whole thing up. We're at a very interesting time in history if you think about it, because history was the same for how many years? For hundreds of years prior to the year, I would say probably 1700 and before. I mean, you had the Industrial Revolution, 1800s, 1900s. It was, the digital revolution and, whatever you call it. It's just an amazing time to be alive. I mean, would you guys agree?
Oh, absolutely. It's amazing. It's exciting. And to touch on your point real quick, pushing back on the AI, I absolutely agree. Maybe we're not there yet to program it into sentient being, or maybe the singularity isn't here, though there is rumors that OpenAI has cracked it or getting close. I heard that the other day. But no matter how long it takes, I do think we're close to humans choosing to trust AI. I'm already close to that myself. I'll just go to ChatGPT and have it write me this beautiful script or this beautiful sales letter or whatever it is. And how much harder or how much smarter is it going to have to get for us to trust it more than Joe Biden running the U.S.? Personally, I would almost rather ChatGPT run the U.S. right now.
I think that I'm going to agree with you on some of those points. So, for example, I do think that there is fluff in the market that can be gotten rid of. So, for example, I mentioned accountants earlier. Why would I need an accountant if my AI on my phone can do my accounting for me and keep track of my books? I personally think that, yes, we may have lost some skills along the way. Like, for example, I may not have as great of math as I did when I was in elementary school, because now I can ask my phone, hey, what is this? And Siri will answer. Or I may not be able to spell as well as I could when I was in school, because now I can be like, hey, how do you spell this number? Or Grammarly fixes my mistakes. I personally can see it as a net benefit for people, because the tool of having something help you along the way, like for example, you use it for your business in order to help yourself promote yourself, or even do SEO, but there is always that human touch. Like, I don't see too many businesses being run by AI, because who's going to be HR? Who's going to be who's going to be the person at the
Awesome, man. Well, hey, Aaron, I'm so excited to have you on the show, man. It has been a blast with you today.
It's been fun.
Yeah, man. We're going to have you back on the show again, because you're a good voice, and it's a good going conversation
aliens
to have you on. So, man, I want to get your guys' closing thoughts on what can we do to take action. I always like to have a call to action at the end of every show. Micah?
Yeah, so I think my call to action and my closing thoughts would be, if we're going to be saving America, we can't rely on anything. We can't rely on AI to save us, as some people would want us to do. The Klaus Schwabs and the Noah Yuval Hararis, they want us to rely on something. They want us to rely on technocracy to pull us out of where we are now. For example, they want us to rely on Fauci. They want us to rely on our ruling class to say, hey, make sure you take this drug, make sure you do this, make sure you do this, and then you'll be safe. Stay at home, collect the $650 a month that you're going to be receiving to stay at your house, and don't worry about producing. So my thoughts on how to take action is, first, produce something, create value for the world, and because of the value that you create, you can make changes. And that's what we're trying to push for. That's what Base Boys is going for. We are looking for the change in the world. We're looking not just for the change in the world around us, but we're also looking for the change in ourselves. We need to create change, not just for America, but the world, because the whole world has to be saved. The whole world needs to be reawakened to freedom, liberty, and prosperity. And we can't do that when we're asleep.
Absolutely. I would say educate yourselves. 100%. Just dig into investing in yourself, whether that's in business or in civics or all aspects of life. I think we've become a consuming society where it's so easy to just veg out on Netflix. It is so easy to just go through the motions of the day. We're all so busy, of course, and I've been super guilty of that. But when I take the time, and you just got to prioritize that. Educate yourself. Listen to some podcasts like Base Boys, or read some books, or heck, read the Bible. Like just get back to reading real original content that is inspirational and educational, and that develops much more of an identity in yourself instead of just being pulled left and right by what you're seeing on the screen. And you're like, what do I believe? Oh, okay, I believe this today. Well, no, just actually build a foundation for yourself. And it takes time. It takes days or weeks or months or years, but do it. It's worth it. And go to rocksapco.com for your supplements, because it's better than the jab.
Yeah, man. Anything else you want to plug while you're on the show?
That's it, man. That's
okay.
it. That's
cool,
good.
Cool. We love helping people out. We're business friendly here. So, man, my message is we just want to foster a community of informed people that are, focused on the things that matter. And I think a lot of that's going to happen through civil discourse, through open conversation. You don't get that from the media that we get. It just distracts you and gets your your brain chemicals going, and just focused on the things that don't matter. So, and get informed, focus on the things that matter, and that's the movement we want to do. And that's why we have these long conversations. And I think that's the best way to get to our problems. And I'm really hoping one of these days we're a very new media group. We're growing. I want to get opposition on. You don't see that in our space. You don't see that in the conservative, pro-America industry. It's a lot of just, cuck fests on the show, and, we agree with each other. And then it's just, you need to have opposition, and you need to go where your opposition is, because then you're just having a big party of like-minded people, and that's not going to get you anywhere. You have to fight. So what did Donald Trump say? Fight like hell?
Fight like hell. Yes, he did.
And that's what we're going to do for America to move us forward towards a hopefully representative government. I'd like to see it in my lifetime, but I'm not optimistic. So